Ever wonder what makes someone risk it all? The whole shebang in this giant game of deception. That's what we're looking at today. The most audacious hustlers in history.
Okay.
People who build empires on lies so big they're almost unbelievable.
Right.
And we're talking billions with a B, ready to unpack some seriously jaw-dropping schemes.
So let's dive in. You know, the thing that really gets me about these cases is, yeah, the money's eye-popping, sure, but it's more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a window into, one, the systems that make this possible, and two, honestly, just human psychology.
And it's crazy the backgrounds of these masterminds, right?
Yeah.
We've got everything here from Instagram influencers all the way up to CEOs, all trying to navigate this world of high-stakes fraud.
Totally. It shows that fraud, it really can pop up anywhere, any walk of life.
Absolutely.
You've got someone like Ramona Buss, maybe better known as Hush Puppy, built a whole empire on social media just showing off this lavish lifestyle. Allegedly, all based on money laundering. And then you've got Kenneth Lay, total opposite, right? Climbing the corporate ladder, becomes the CEO of Enron, only to be taken down by one of the biggest accounting scandals in history.
Talk about two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Completely different paths, but united by this thread of deception. And the schemes themselves are almost as diverse as the people, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes here. Ponzi schemes, market manipulation. There's even something here called the salad oil scandal. What is that?
Ah, the salad oil scandal, a classic. It just shows you how far some people will go to trick everyone else.
Wow.
Imagine this. Tino DeAngelis, the guy behind it all, he creates this illusion of being super wealthy. And he does it with, get this, actual salad oil.
Salad
oil. He messed with the receipts for the tanks, made it look like he had this fortune all in cooking oil.
Okay, that's almost funny. It's like something out of a movie. Yeah. But I'm guessing it's not so funny when you think about the real-world consequences.
Exactly. The methods might seem kind of crazy, but the damage is very, very real. The salad oil scandal, it shook the commodities market.
Wow.
Total domino effect, companies going bankrupt, the whole 9 yards.
It really shows you that while these stories might sound kind of exciting on the surface,
right,
there are some serious victims left behind when these schemes fall apart.
Absolutely.
And it's not just individuals, right? We've got Ramon Baez Figueroa's case on the files.
Yeah.
It wasn't just investors he hurt, his actions. They whacked the entire Dominican Republic economy.
That's right. When you're talking big-time fraud, the ripple effect is huge.
Right.
Impacts whole economies, destroys trust, leaves scars everywhere on people, on communities. It's bad.
It's crazy. Speaking of ripple effects, before we get into the how of these schemes, I gotta ask, what are the most common types of fraud we're talking about? Break it down for us. I feel like I'm back in finance class all of a sudden.
Okay, sure. Let's start with one we already mentioned, the Ponzi scheme. Think of it like a spider web, but made of lies. Early investors get paid off with money from the new people coming in. So it looks like there's profit, but it's all fake. Eventually, when the new money dries up, boom, collapse. Bernie Madoff, he's the poster boy for this biggest financial fraud in U.S. history.
So it's basically, what, robbing Peter to pay Paul, but on a massive scale.
Exactly.
What else is in the playbook for these, what did you call them, financial puppet masters?
Well, you got market manipulation. This is where people, or sometimes whole groups, they mess with the price of stocks, commodities, whatever. They just spread false information, coordinate buying and selling, you name it. Picture this. You hear a rumor, right, that this company's about to make some huge discovery. So naturally, you buy stock. But little do you know, someone who already owns a ton of that stock, they started the rumor, they drive the price up, sell at the top, and then when the truth comes out, guess who's left holding the bag?
Yeah.
You got it. They leverage information, or I guess misinformation, to make a buck.
Okay, so it's all about information or misinformation for personal gain. Gotcha.
Are there any other big players in this world of financial fraud we should know about?
Oh, yeah, tons. You've got pyramid schemes, which are like Ponzi schemes, but they're all about recruiting new people. You get promised money for bringing in new members. Problem is, eventually, you run out of people to recruit, and the whole thing falls apart. And then there's good old-fashioned embezzlement, basically, stealing from the inside.
Okay, so we're talking about a whole smorgasbord of scams here, each one with its own special way of deceiving people.
Exactly.
But what gets me is, how do these people actually pull it off? Especially on such a big scale.
Right.
It's not like they're pocketing a few bucks here and there. We're talking millions, billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's wild. It's like the million-dollar question, right? How does it get this big without anyone noticing? Usually there's not just one thing. Sometimes it's about, finding these loopholes, especially in new markets where the rules haven't caught up yet.
Right. Like cryptocurrency. That's still kind of the Wild West in a lot of ways.
So it's ripe for the taking if you're, let's say, less than ethical.
You could say that, yeah. But it's not always about, like, missing rules. Sometimes it's way simpler. Plain old greed.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. If someone up high in a company, they're going to make a ton of money, they might just ignore the shady stuff.
Right, even if it blows up in everyone's faces later.
Exactly. It's all about hoping it won't crash down.
Yeah.
But there's another piece to this puzzle, right? Like you were saying earlier, it's about people.
The human element, yeah.
People are drawn to certain things. A good story, someone who seems trustworthy, and that desire for easy money, that's a powerful cocktail.
So these scammers, they're almost like, what, master storytellers?
100%. They spin these tales that people want to believe.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, right? Some of these schemes, they're so out there, they end up as movies.
Oh, totally. It's like life imitating art, or maybe art imitating fraud, like The Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. Jordan Belfort, that whole thing. It just shows how seductive that world can be. All that money, all that recklessness.
Wild ride, that's for sure. And what about that Indian show, Scam 1992? That one was all about the stock market, right?
Yep, Scam 1992, all about Harshad Mehta. He basically found all these loopholes in the Indian stock market and just went wild. It just shows you these scams, they're not just some abstract thing, they're happening in the real world, affecting real people.
Right, right. Makes you think twice, even when you're just trying to relax with the movie. Speaking of thinking twice, let's talk about prevention. Obviously, we can't go back in time.
Right.
But we can learn from this stuff. Yeah. So what are the signs, the red flags that people should watch out for?
That's the big question. And it's surprising how often the signs are obvious. Biggest one. If someone's promising insane returns with zero risk.
Too good to be true.
Ding, ding, ding.
Right.
There's no such thing as a free lunch. Everyone wants to get rich quick, but come on, if it feels like magic, it's probably a trick. Another one is if they're being shady about where your money's going, how it's being invested. Huge red flag. Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if it seems dumb.
Better safe than sorry, right? So it's all about doing your homework, even if it means looking a little naive.
Exactly. Trust your gut if something feels off.
It probably is. But here's the thing. These scammers, they're good at their jobs, right? Like, scarily good at getting people to trust them.
Oh, yeah. They use all the right words. They know how to work people. It's tough.
It is tough. It's like, how do you balance trusting your gut with the fact that even smart people get fooled?
You're right. It's tough. It's a balancing act for sure. Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos, that's a perfect example.
Right.
She had some of the biggest names in the world convinced. They thought her blood testing thing was revolutionary, but it was all smoke and mirrors.
It's like they're selling a dream, and people want to believe it so badly they ignore the warning signs. Speaking of big, let's talk numbers. We keep saying billions, but honestly, that's hard to even imagine. Were there any cases that really got to you? Just the sheer amount of money involved?
Oh, for sure. Bernie Madoff. Always. We talked about him before, but it's mind-boggling. $65 billion gone.
$65 billion? That's more than some countries. How do you even do that? And how does it go unnoticed for so long?
That's the thing about Ponzi schemes. Really about any big fraud. It takes time. Madoff, he had this whole persona, the air of exclusivity.
Right.
And he was delivering those returns, fake though they were, people got comfortable. And the bigger it got, the harder it was to unravel.
Like a runaway train, just keeps going and going until it crashes. And it's the regular people who get hurt the most.
You got it. It's a reminder that anyone can be fooled. Doesn't matter how smart you think you are, these schemes, they can get to anyone.
So it all comes back to being skeptical, right? No matter what, do your research.
100%.
It's true. It's like every time you turn around, there's some new crazy scam in the headlines. Makes you wonder, what's next? Where are these entrepreneurs going to pop up next?
Well, one place that's really blowing up, no pun intended, is cryptocurrency.
Crypto, yeah.
It's so new, and there aren't always rules in place yet. It's kind of the perfect storm.
Like the Wild West, but with digital cash.
Exactly. And because it's so anonymous, well, you can guess what happens.
Yeah.
One thing we're seeing a lot of is this rug pull thing.
Rug pull? What's that?
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
You find this new crypto project, right?
Okay.
Maybe it's a new coin or one of those DeFi platforms, and it seems legit. Developers are active, people are talking about it.
Sounds promising.
Right, but then poof, The developers, they disappear, take all the money, and everyone who invested is left with nothing.
So it's like a magic trick, but instead of a rabbit, your money disappears.
Pretty much. That's why you got to be so careful with crypto, even more so than usual. It's not just rug pulls either. There's phishing, fake coin offerings, even scams on social media where they pretend to be, like celebrities, to trick people.
Oh, sounds like a minefield out there. So how do you avoid stepping on one? Is it the same stuff we talked about before, being skeptical and all that?
Totally. Those things are more important than ever with crypto. Don't put money into anything you don't get.
Right.
Look into the people behind it, read the, what do they call it, white paper, all that. And if they're making promises that seem too good to be true, they probably are.
So it's not just the opportunity itself. You got to look at the people and the platforms too.
Exactly. Because in the crypto world, anyone can be anyone, right?
True.
It's way too easy to look legit, even if you're not. And never, ever invest more than you can afford to lose. That's rule number 1.
Good advice. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if that basket's made of code that could just vanish. So if we had to sum up everything we talked about today, I guess it comes down to knowledge is power.
100%. The more you know how this stuff works, why people do it, what to look out for, the better off you'll be.
It's like having X-ray vision for scams.
Right. Anyone can have that. You just got to, take the time to learn.
That's so true. Well, this has been a wild ride, expert speaker. Thanks for taking us through it. And listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you some things to think about. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe out there.